so we're going to do an unboxing. I love rescuing holy relics and any kind of antique or collectible, mainly antiques. I love to restore them, but these are vintage. These aren't actual antiques yet, but so this was another amazing score that I got on eBay. You can check out my video. This crucifix actually is from the Vatican Studios. It's micro mosaic, and it came with a hidden compartment, and it contained the relics of eight. I said eight. 8 holy Dominican saints. That's right. So I'll put a link in the video's description box so you can watch this unboxing. But now we got to go to this treasure. And what we have here is a first-class holy relic. This is a holy Catholic relic. I don't know if you're familiar with them. You might not be. But these are treasures in themselves, whether they're antique or not. Now, this one I felt sorry for. You can see all the scuzz on the glass. The verdigris, I don't know if you know what verdigris is, but verdigris is this sort of green. It's like the Statue of Liberty. I don't know if you ever seen the Statue of Liberty. You may have seen her in pictures, but she's green. And she's green from something called verdigris. Over time, moisture gets onto certain metals, especially copper. It could be nickel or any kind of metal, and basically turns it green. Now, you don't want that to happen, because what will eventually happen with that green verdigris or scuzz that gets on the metal, it will eat away at the metal. So we need to take that off. So before we talk about the relic and what it contains, what we're going to do is we're going to clean this with some Simicrone, a toothbrush, a metal polishing rag, and we're going to clean the glass with lens cleaner. So let's go ahead and get that done. So this is one of my tools that I use on a lot of metals in my collection that are antique or vintage, Simicrone. You can't get it in California. It's some German paste that cleans all kinds of metals. It doesn't even have to be silver. And I use this silver polishing rag that I get from Amazon. And so this is a buffing side on one side. And this is supposed to contain polish inside of it, but it does not have enough. So that's why I use this with this. We're going to get a toothbrush and we're going to get to work. I'm going to open up my tube of Simicrone. I'm going to put a little bit on a toothbrush. Now, you don't want to get this stuff inside whatever you're trying to restore or to clean. If you do, you're in trouble, especially since you can't wash it. You can't wash this. This will destroy the relic. So I'm just going to put a dab. I actually put way too much. You don't want to put that much. So I'm going to try to take off some of the excess. There we go. I'm just going to lay this down on my counter. And I want to get in the corners. I don't even really want to get on the glass part, because sometimes there's pockets that this stuff can get in. And so I'm just going to lightly get on the edges. And a little bit is getting on the glass. It's not too much of a problem. So I'm just going to go back and forth. I usually don't do this, but this is reticulated, these areas. And so since they're reticulated, it's like nooks and crannies that you're going to try to get inside of. You want to just get a little bit of the pink stuff on here. So then you can move your rag across this area. I don't know if you can see this. This is really, really filthy. I saw this and I had to save it. A lot of these relics are not well kept. People that once owned them did not care for them. And it's sad. You need to place these in reliquaries, which we'll do not long from now after we get this clean. We're going to have to rinse and repeat this procedure multiple times. And I don't know. I'm sorry. You're seeing my dirty fingernails and stuff right now, because this is a dirty process. And you see my dry skin, but you want to keep rubbing the area as much as you can. You want to ball this up so it's raised up a little so you can get into those nooks and crannies. And you just want to keep rubbing the area until you get all that paste off and get into those little grooves. And so you want to keep doing this until the rag does not come back black. You want to have to keep, sometimes you might have to add a little bit more of the pink stuff on with the toothbrush, and keep on rinsing and repeating over and over, and just keep rubbing it along the edges until it comes back clear. And This is like a microscope. So my hands, you will see a lot of dead skin cells and stuff like that. So sorry to gross you guys out, but you can see this is still continuing to come back black. And we're going to continue to keep doing this. But you can see these areas over here are getting much better. Before I further to do this, I just wanted to, because I wanted to take this off now while it's dirty, because I want to just keep the backing on. But this is a real relic. This is authentic. You can see the wax seal, and it's not cut. The strings are not cut. And this is telling me that this is the real deal. Here we go. And you can see, look how bad it is on the back. Now, I'm not going to clean the back. I want to leave the patina on it because this is an older piece from about 1950 or so. And so there you go. That's authentic. This is actually the Order of Passionists. But this is the Passionists order. And that's I guess the postulator of the Passionists order seal. All right, so I cleaned it. I used lens cleaner with a Q-tip. On one side it was damp. I rubbed around it. And then on the other side that was dry, I rubbed around it. And then I buffed it with the buffing rag. And so here we go. Now it's not cleaned thoroughly, but it's a lot better than what it was. We got rid of the verdigris, as you can see here. And it's nice and shine. Here's the back. And you can see the difference. All right, so let's take a look. Let's get in there if we can. And the glass looks a lot better. There's still a little scuzz on it, but it's inside it. It's actually inside the little theca or teca that you see here. I don't know if you can see that. So what we have is a first-class relic of Saint Maria Goretti, Virgin Martyr. That's what the VM stands for. And this is really amazing. She was actually canonized as a saint June 24th, 1950. Now, she died on July 6th, 1902. Now, the sad part about Maria Goretti, which I'll pop a picture up so we can see, like, there's an actual photograph of her. It's very grainy. You can't really see it. But she was a poor peasant Italian girl. She was very young. She was just an 11-year-old girl. And she came from a very poor family in Italy, a small town in Italy where there were farmers, and there were tenant farmers. A tenant farmer is someone who lives on a farmer's land and does all the farm work for them and gets paid for that. Generally, they get to live there, and they get paid a small meager salary, get free food and board. And so her father died, left her mother with multiple children. Maria Goretti, poor Maria Goretti, had 6 siblings. So basically, her mother had to take over doing the farm work, and they were living on it was almost like a tenant farmer type of situation where she lived with another family by the name of the Serenelli. Their last name was Serenelli. It was a father and I believe multiple sons. I'm not sure, but I know one son, Alessandro Serenelli, was older than Maria and actually above the age of majority. And he had a sick, almost like a, what's the word? Oh God, that word. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'll be back. Obsession. That's the word. He had a very sick obsession for Maria. He was actually in love with her, and he just could not get her off his mind to the point where he had lustful thoughts. One day he cornered her inside the house in one of the bedrooms. Now, they had, the mother had the situation where she had to be farming out there doing the farm work, and she had to take care of her 6 siblings. That was her main role in this family. And he cornered her into one of the bedrooms and tried to grape her. I'm not going to say the R word. And she totally put up a fight and said, absolutely not. She was very pious and very religious, and he refused to take no for an answer. And he tried to grape her. She refused. She put up a fight and said, please, I don't want you to sin. And he got so angry. The more she refused, the angrier he got. He took something called a leather awl, AWL, or punch, and stabbed her 14 times with the leather oil. And he actually ran off, and she crawled and got help. And they took her to the hospital and rushed her, and she was on her deathbed because she bled out so badly. He injured multiple organs. The leather oil went through her body from the front to the back, and she got operated on with no anesthesia. She lay on her deathbed. They could not save her. And one of the last things she said to, I believe, a priest who was giving her last rites, she said, "Please, I forgive Alessandro Serenelli. I want him to be in heaven with me." And that ended up bringing her to sainthood. She was beatified in 1947. That means that's one more step closer to becoming a saint. And she was made a saint in 24th of June, 1950, canonized as a saint. Over 500 people showed up because it was an extraordinary thing for such a young little girl, 11 years old, to forgive such a heinous act. So we can see here that we have a first-class relic, but without documentation. That's okay, because about 80%, 70, 80% of these never come with documentation. They did, but it went missing or the paper's disintegrated. It happens, boys and girls. We do have the seal of the Passionists on the back. I believe it's the Passionists that's the seal of, but I do know for sure it's definitely a specific holy order's authentic seal, wax seal, and threads. And so I don't think this is an ex ossibus, which would be of the bone. It could be. It could be one of three, I'm guessing. Ex ossibus, which would be of the bone. Ex corpore, which would be from the body parts, meaning like the stomach lining, stuff like that, the intestines. Or carne. Ex carne would be of the flesh or the skin. And very hard to tell which one it is, but I do know this is a first-class relic. Having collected enough of these over my time, I do think that could be an ossibus. And I believe that this was actually made for her canonization in 1950 and given out to only very special people. And so I rescued yet another relic from verdigris and filth and not being taken care of. You can see the verdigris is now gone, and this is restored back to its beautiful splendor and original beauty. So now we're going to actually venerate this poor saint who went through so much. It was absolutely the most disgusting, terrible story. He ended up going to her canonization along with her mother. Her mother ended up surviving to see her own daughter canonized as a saint. So did her siblings as well. Some of them, which became Americans, they immigrated over to America on Ellis Island, came to New York. Some of her relatives were from America. They came down to the Vatican and watched the canonization of their very holy and pious saint of a sister. That's really stunning. Now, Serenelli ended up becoming very angry in prison. He was still angry and filled with hatred and rottenness. And one day she appeared before him in a dream, handed him 14 white lilies. As she handed him the lilies, they burnt into flames. And he repented and asked for forgiveness. Now, he was let out of jail early because of good behavior. He ended up, I believe, becoming somebody who's a caretaker at a local monastery, I guess from where this happened. And he dedicated his life to Jesus and to feeling really bad and guilty for what he had done. The only thing that I do not like is that they are talking about making Alessandro Serenelli a saint. That really angers me in a way, because even though he repented and he found Lord Jesus Christ in his heart, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, after what he did to this little girl and intentions of doing to this little girl. Besides stabbing her, he tried to take away her chastity and dignity. We're going to venerate her right now by placing her in a reliquary where she belongs to be respected. And here she is. She's in her reliquary, nice and cleaned. We wanted to, definitely, well, not me, not we, but I wanted to make sure that this was taken care of. The verdigris was removed from this. As you can see, the verdigris was removed. We don't want to do this to our relics, boys and girls. I have a lot of first-class relics, as you can see, and I take care of each and every one of them. I clean them. I clean the glass on them. I make them shiny. I take off any verdigris or any kind of dirt or whatever you want to call it on here. And I actually respect the relics. And I respect Maria. Maria really went through a lot. There she is. She's properly venerated. She's in her reliquary. This is her forever home right now. And I almost lost my voice. Did you hear that? Oh my God. I'm like speechless because this is really sad. The story of Maria. I have multiple Maria first class relics in my collection. I think this is going to be number 4, actually. And I found out a lot about forgiveness through the story of Maria. I've actually had grappling issues with forgiveness of certain people in my life. And I was able to find that forgiveness through the story of Maria. So I hope you can find that in your life as well. And all right, so we're going to be getting more first class relics really shortly. Stay tuned. If you haven't already actually subscribed to my channel, please do so. I forgot to mention that there are first class, second class, and there are third class relics. First class is the most important class because it's of the body part of the saint. Second class would be something they wore or touched in life. Third class is if I take this crucifix, which I'll get right now. This is a beautiful micro mosaic Italian crucifix. Now that just became a third class relic. You can also do that with holy cards or rosaries. And we're going to take this prayer card and touch it to the Maria, first class relic. Now that became a third class relic. Really interesting. And so stay tuned. If you can, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys all in the next one because we want to cherish these and take care of these for many generations to come.